Hello and welcome to Wendy Tone Drops, here with your host, Thomas Salander, joined by my ever funny and ever brilliant co-host, Thomas Nankos. Tom, thank you very much for joining us here today on When the Tone Drops. How are we doing?
Fantastic. Yeah, it's been a great time. So I'm excited for the first podcast to come out.
Yeah, this is the first one, the inaugural show here of When the Tone Drops, something that I've had in the works for probably over a year at this point. I'm really excited to actually finally get the opportunity to come to you and give you this style of podcasting. So we'll talk a little bit shop about ourselves, how we got into doing what we do. So Tom, let's explain this. So your family's been first responders for who knows how long, right? So you just joined the long lineage of people who are involved with this kind of stuff that we do?
I don't know if join is the right word. It might be by choice. Not by choice, I was told to do it, you know. But at the same time, it's a great experience. I've been at EMT for a bunch of years, and I've been on the squad for just under a decade. I'm not a part of any fire department or anything, but volunteer EMT.
Nothing wrong with that. So you've worked, obviously, throughout this whole time with many different people on the squad, and your father's a part of it, your sister, your brother, your stepbrother now has joined. So how does it feel being a part of this legacy family organization? Your mother was on at one point.
It feels amazing. And with my stepdad, he's EMT, he's a police officer, and my step-grandfather was a police chief in Little Falls. So it's a whole family affair.
That it is. So what made you join when you first decided to get into this?
My dad. I grew up around the squad. So I think the first time I was in our headquarters was probably a week or 2 weeks old, and grew up there, knew a lot of young members when I was there. And when I turned 16, I joined and been there ever since.
Never look back.
No, not at all.
You enjoy what you do?
It's rewarding. It's very different what I do for my career. I work in prudential insurance, boring desk job. So this adds a lot of excitement to my life.
That's always a good thing. We have to have something outside of what you normally are accustomed to. You go to college, you study business, do what you do there, and then, you have something else on the side. I know I studied accounting in college, and would I ever do this as a paid time thing? Definitely not. Would I become a paid fireman? I don't really know. But sometimes I think I should. Other days I think that I shouldn't. But that's just me.
How do you get started?
How did I get started? Your brother's how I got started. Him and I have been friends probably since like second grade. And he always would talk about your father, that you were involved and your sister got involved. So I'm like, you know what? When I turn 16, I'll join. And I never looked back, to be quite honest. I still don't know why I joined. I kind of blame him. But it's been good. And then, let's see, I joined the squad at 16. And then at 17, I joined the fire department because my mother would not drive me to fire calls. So she said, you have to be old enough to drive yourself. So I had to wait a year to drive myself to join. And then that's been good. That's been rewarding. Got my EMT certification. That was in May of 2017. And then in July of 2018, I got my Firefighter 1 certification. And I enjoyed it. I drive stuff now, right? Since I turned 21, I've been able to drive the ambulances, which is good because there would be a lot of times where I would just be sitting there waiting. Are we going to get a driver today? We're going to get a driver. Maybe we would. And then, driving the fire truck and everything, that's always fun.
Yeah, the ups and downs of volunteer service. Oh, crap. Do we have enough to put a crew out?
Yeah, that's always. Well, we're good now. We just changed the driving age to 20, so hopefully we get a couple more people be able to be drivers. So that's what I enjoy. I wouldn't change it. Do I love driving? Yes. Do I like doing patient care more? Probably. And whenever I get the opportunity to not drive, I do try to do all the patient care that I can. Even though we have trainees in the back helping us, I tend to take over and do vitals and everything because you always need practice at that. Practice makes perfect. Training makes the best. And, we do a little bit of training. We should probably do more training. That's most important, I think, in my mind, is training. You really can never do enough because you don't do everything every single day. You have your normal bread and butter calls, fall victim, help them up off the ground. Maybe they got a couple of scrapes on them, bandage them up a little bit. Maybe you have that hip injury. You have to put them on the scoop. Maybe make some sort of hip stabilization, or, you know, you have a little bit more lengthy involved, or you have some sort of suspected fracture, maybe a knee, a leg, or maybe an arm. But then when you get to put on a hair traction splint, when you get to put on a KED, I know I'm throwing things out here that you guys may or may not know, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you do have the knowledge and training to do, but you don't do it every day. So that's why I always think it's important to constantly train. There's always new techniques of doing stuff. You know, no two people will put a splint on the same way. No two people will do a bandage the same way. But that's why you train, and that's why you have different ideas and you learn from everybody.
Exactly. That's also from when I first joined, it was backboard and collar every trauma patient. Now it's C-spine precaution, and you don't want to backboard that much. You want to put the C-spine collar on and call it a day.
A lot of people found out that backboarding actually was hurting a lot of patients, so they decided, you know, we went to the spinal mobilization restriction policy, where unless you have the criteria to say, yes, you do have to backboard somebody, put a collar on them, and you really don't. You pretty much just put them semi-Fowlers with a collar on them and, you know, monitor during transport, which is good in a sense. I mean, you don't have the, you know, the lengthy process it takes to backboard somebody, you know, where you could just rapidly transport if you don't have that suspected injury. But also the backboard obviously comes into play of a lifting and moving device. You have a car, you got to get somebody out of the car. The backboard is very helpful. The KED, you know, the Kendrick extrication device, I'm going to say the least used piece of equipment on the ambulance. Probably next to the hair traction splint. I haven't used it. I think I've only heard of a couple people using it, maybe like twice in their career, and that's like 40 years span of, I think, the person I was talking to. So you have that, you have training, then you have, you know, we have the ability that we could join at 16. So, you know, you start, you know, you don't really know anything, you're green, you're fresh. And then as the years progress, you obviously go to EMT school, you learn all the stuff involved with that. And then, you know, you move up a little bit, you become a second EMT, as we call it, and you become a charge person. You start as a crew chief, and then maybe one day you become lieutenant. We have our senior day lieutenant, senior night lieutenant, captain. So a little weird with our operational titles, but they all mean the same thing.
Yeah.
You see, we're not allowed to be in the same room as one another. This is why we're doing this split, because if we're in the same place, bad things happen because we have the same personality and we tend to feed off of each other, and it gets bad. So we split ourselves up now. We don't ride on the same cruise anymore, which is upsetting because he was my favorite partner for a long time, and now he doesn't hold that title anymore. Sorry to tell you, Tom.
No, that's all right. I miss riding with you.
As I do you as well.
We had unspoken communication. I knew exactly what you were going to do, and you knew what I was going to do, and we just moved.
That's what happens, especially when you ride with people a long time. You understand how they're going to operate and how they're going to do certain things, and that's good. And, you know, obviously you move around with different people. You learn how they're going to do it too. And we have, you know, an organization with 100 plus EMTs where you have the ability to ride with so many different people, and, you know, answering general calls plus obviously your schedule times is something that you get the ability to, plus weekend rotations, holiday rotations. You're never riding with the same, well, you are riding with the same person on a night or during the day, but, you know, you get the opportunity sometimes to ride with people outside of, you know, who you normally would get to, which I always think is the best. And especially in training wise, when you're a younger member, you know, you're not an EMT, you're just about at the cusp of finishing EMT school or just became an EMT, riding with the most people, I think is the best, because you get the different level of experience. You know, you might have somebody who's been on for 40 years, 50 years, or you might have somebody who's been on for 5, 10 years and who really has maybe a different outlook into something, especially in, you know, I go back to training. I love training. We don't do enough, which this is my big goal this year, is to do a lot more training with everybody. Just even basic stuff, vitals and everything. You know, how many times do you take a blood pressure and you really want to drill down on how doing that? Because, you know, that's basic set of vitals. Even just the way the patient is presenting to you. Are they pale? Are they, you know, normal, warm and dry, their skin color? I mean, that's all a good tell. You know, especially in the days of COVID, vitals, you know, we're not really doing as many vitals as we used to, especially if you have a suspected COVID patient. You're just monitoring during transport, making sure that you're safe, the patient's safe. I mean, mask. I think I got one in the studio here. These N95 masks, these are our lifesaver. Those have allowed us the opportunity over the past, who knows how many months, to stay safe. During this, I think every call that we've been on since March, we've been mandated to wear N95 masks. We just got these great ones, which Envo masks, I believe, is the one that we're using. They're great, nice gel fit. You actually could breathe kind of easily in them. Your glasses don't fog up, which I appreciate because now I can actually see. I can normally see.
For contacts, you don't have that problem.
Well, yeah, contacts, you don't have that problem, but I like the glasses look. Personally, it makes me look more astute, I think.
Need all the help you can get.
I do need all the help that I do. So how has COVID impacted your life? Not only, with how it has changed the way you outlook being an EMT. How do you think?
Well, for myself, I had a family friend pass away from it. I know a couple people in town that passed away from it. I always pride myself on being a really good community citizen. Since before I joined the squad, Eagle Scout, then after also was been an EMT, and this was provided me a stage to come up upon and really step up and really help people at time of need. It's also good because you can educate some more people. I think people throughout this pandemic have understood the role the EMT plays. Like before the pandemic, I was like, "Oh, you're an ambulance driver," and you're like, "Yeah, no, like I'm certified. Like I have all these X things I have to do." Now it's, "Oh, you're an EMT. Like, how you doing? Like you stressed? You up all night? What's up?" So it's, the pandemic has changed people's awareness for what the EMT actually really does. We're not just Band-Aid pushers. So now it's nice that people are starting to recognize what we do to the community, paid or volunteer. So how's it changed you, Tom?
Well, I definitely have seen my call volume increase. We'll put that out at the start, but it's changed. I mean, obviously we know some people who have gotten the virus, know some people who have unfortunately succumbed to the virus, but I think we see a new hope. As you said, a lot more people have awareness of what EMTs actually do. I think people appreciate all healthcare professions more than they probably ever did. I mean, they did to an extent, but I think nowadays they realize that, people who are in the healthcare profession are lifesavers in a sense. And, everybody's always talking to us. I know patients recently, are you guys getting your vaccine? And, when are you guys first in line to get that? And, how's everything going with that? And, we both got it. My arm hurts a little bit still. It's over a week out, but I mean, it's good in the sense that people are actually appreciating you, not saying that they weren't in the past, but are more vocal about their appreciation. Some people don't understand exactly what you do, but then you educate them a little bit and they understand it, which that's what you have to do with everything. If you're not involved in it directly, you don't really know to the greatest extent of what's really involved in it.
Exactly. It's nice that people want to have awareness. A lot of us did, because we're in it and our families are in it, and family members that weren't in it, they know what we deal with. I know the missed dinners, the holidays we have to ride, parties we had to miss, and different nights where I want to go to the bar and hang out with my girlfriend and our friends, and I say, "Hey, I can't." And now they understand what we actually do, and hopefully they understand why we do it.
I think so, and I think this has really showed people a window into what we actually do and the danger in it. I mean, obviously, we were dealing with stuff before this. We had the Ebola outbreak in the mid, 2010s, whatever, that range.
2013, I think.
2013 was that when that was. We really didn't see it on that large scale in the United States. But, when this hit in mid-March, when everything started to shut down, we would see call volume go up. We'd see, a lot of people, you first started out, you had the people who were experiencing minor symptoms, didn't really want to go to the hospital because there was not much that could be done at that point. Then you had the people, start experiencing the more severe symptoms, and you would take them to the hospital, which you really didn't know what the hospital could do at that point because the level of treatment, we really didn't know what to do. We were putting people on ventilators in the hospital, and, was that really the best form? We didn't have any sort of treatment other than the standard like flu treatments and, bacterial infection treatments, antibiotics and stuff like that. Whereas now you kind of see it. Yes, you have some of the people who have less severe symptoms going to the hospital. We're in a sense of maybe they shouldn't be still, but also they know a little bit more about the virus, know how to treat it, where you have the Regeneron treatment, you have remdesivir. Some of these definitely treatments that they came out with that are going to be game changers. I mean, the vaccine's one statement on how to, change the game. But I think the bigger one, and almost less talked about, is going to be all these therapeutic treatments that you have, because that's really going to come down to when somebody has the virus. Yes, they might be vaccinated for it or in the process of being vaccinated for it. If you could give them some sort of treatment against it, I think that's going to be better in the long game than the vaccine will. But I think most people at some point will get vaccinated. I mean, we have, if you asked me a couple of weeks ago, I wouldn't have said I was going to get it, but I got it. So it is what it is. We're going to be dealing with this probably until at least next year. It is next year already. I keep forgetting that it's 2021. The calendar changes, but my mind doesn't. But we'll probably be dealing with this until at least the summer, probably this fall. So we'll deal with it. We'll get over it. Hopefully, I hope not. I think we'll be dealing with probably the remnant effects of still continued lockdowns. I know they were talking today about this new strain that came from South Africa. They're concerned about that's a little bit more contagious than the original strain. That
was UK.
Yes. The UK is where they found it. They believe it originated in South Africa, this strain, which moves all
at this point, it goes worldwide.
Yeah, I mean, it's worldwide. Nobody, really knows if the vaccine is going to be able to accommodate this new strain, probably, since it's an RNA type vaccine and the virus is RNA in nature. So you could, the same basic components of the virus are there. It's just, attacking those components. So we'll see. Hopefully, people start to continue what they're doing, social distancing, masks, and all that stuff, depending on how much you actually adhere to all that stuff. It's good in this sense. And, sometimes you don't really know how well it works. But I guess for the most part, I mean, we can see that masks work. We haven't had anybody really get sick on the squad in the 8 months. So I guess we could be a test case to say that masks do work, and they do definitely help.
Correct.
So moving along, what more do you want to do with this, Tom? What's your aspirations?
With the podcast, not really sure. I kind of play by ear. I mean, I listened to a couple podcasts myself, and I wouldn't be opposed to trying to get different people to come and interview, the local first responders, either from our departments, or we could do other people like FDNY, or just have people call in, and see what their experiences has been throughout the pandemic or pre-pandemic. We're not fortunate. That's a bad word to say, but our squad is just a place where we respond to 9/11, and we have a lot of people experienced who are very open about their experience there, and it's something I wouldn't mind to see. If get different experiences throughout the years of EMS and fire, police, and how things were ran differently, and especially across different states.
I agree. We have a unique situation where you see a lot of people who do shows like this, like National Fire Radio. They've been, involved in this for 15, 20, 30, 40 years, depending on, how long. Whereas, you're involved 8 years now. I'm approaching my 6th year of being involved. So, we have a little bit younger experience, but still have, I believe, the same passion as some of the people who've been here a long time, which is good to get that experience, to get that viewpoint of people who, may not have 15, 20, 30, 40 years involved, but do have the same passion as those people who have that length of time involved and who really care about it and who really want to strive to see something more. So I hope, as you do, we can get a lot of people on, come on the show, talk about it. Even, younger people who are just getting involved. I think that's good as well. We have as you said, we have the opportunity. We're in a broad area, in the New York metropolitan area. We get a lot of people. The show gets out. People start engaging with it. I think, we'll have the definite ability to get more people involved, which will be good, I believe.
Same, man. I'm always for the word out. You get people's stories. I think that's a big selling point. Is Tom and I can talk about our experiences, but every experience everybody has is different. Him and I can go in the same call, and the call affects me very differently than Tom does. It's getting unique experiences over different calls and different experience. Just having people's different experiences and stories is going to be a cool thing.
And it's great to learn by experience too, because you have, okay, how do they do it this way? How could I take that and adapt to it? Of how, if I see that in the future and do it. And, we have a lot of events, who would have thought that we would have been dealing with a global pandemic and, being people right in the middle of it involved. If, you told me a year ago that this was what we would be dealing with, I would have said you were crazy. I don't know what you're talking about, but it's here.
You're gonna laugh. So, myself and my fellow weekend partner, after you, Tom, was in November. Him and I, last November, so November 19, where him and I were talking about it, and we both predicted that it would be here. However, we didn't ever predict. We thought it'd be here, it'd be a 2-month thing, 3-month thing, kind of like H1N1 sort of thing, but none of us ever thought that it'd be a worldwide pandemic.
I don't really think anybody thought that. I thought that they contained it to the level and figure it out and it would be gone, but it's still here, still lingering. I mean, then again, the type of virus it is, it's going to affect as many people as still you have on, we run out of healthy hosts. That'll be the end of it. Obviously, vaccinations and all that stuff aside, that'll be hopefully the end, and therapeutics will be the way forward sooner rather than later, I believe.
I'm praying.
I think we all are praying. Well, Tom, it was good to talk to you here today. Just a little introductory show to get out to everybody, get you our thoughts. And I hope you enjoyed doing it. I mean, I hope you come back for the next show. Yeah,
it was great. Actually my first ever podcast. So I can't wait to listen to the audio and realize what I messed up on. But yeah, I'm excited.
I mean, you learn as time goes on how to really talk and develop. I mean, I've been doing this for over a year now with, I guess, the culmination of 4 shows now this is. I think. I don't even know. I can't even keep track anymore. It's enjoyable. You'll like it. A lot of people, I think, will enjoy this show because you have 2 people who genuinely care about what they're doing and really love to do what they're doing. So thanks again, Tom. We'll see you guys next week here on When the Tone Drops. Stay safe out there.